How's it going, guys? So, I wasn't sure if I was going to make this SmackDown review because I had a wisdom tooth pulled yesterday. So, I'm a little swollen on this side right here. So, if I'm not really talking like I normally do, it sounds like I'm sounding a little weird. That's the reason why. So, I'm not in as much pain. So, I figured, you know what? Let me do a video here. And that's what we're doing. So, this SmackDown was like, they're mentioning the Royal Rumble, but one thing is like, there's no real build up here, of any kind. Like, whatever happened to like the montages celebrating the Royal Rumble with the numbers? Remember that with the woman's voice telling you about, like the number of competitors who held a certain record and all that jazz. There's no Royal Rumble qualifying matches, to see who would get the spot in the Rumble. Like, just these little things to, like, dress up the Royal Rumble build-up. You don't see any of that on this show. And instead, we get, like, a total mess here, and we're going to get to everything. So we start off with Adam Pearce, Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman. So we have Reigns belittling Pearce. And, the thing is right here, Pearce is supposed to be the authority figure, but he's not, like, punishing Reigns. I mean, I thought that was supposed to be the deal. He's supposed to be, like, try to be Reigns' foil, but half the time he just stands around talking in a low voice. And there's not a whole lot here. He's got to be the worst authority figure ever. And he challenges Paul Heyman to a match. Paul Heyman doesn't even seem scared of him. Now, I get it, the whole thing that happened in the end of the show where Reigns helps him anyway. You could say, like, okay, well, he knew that was going to happen. But the whole thing is just like someone is challenging Heyman and Heyman should be the wimp. Like, he should be cowering. His eyes should widen. Whatever happened to that Paul Heyman? This is a Paul Heyman that's really lost his way. Like, he really doesn't know, like, how to react in these situations. He's saying, I'm from New York. I'm going to whoop your ass. And, like, I'm like, Heyman has been doing these little things where he tries to throw in these little pop culture references and he tries to sound cool. It's not working. Where's the Paul Heyman from 2001? Remember when he was on commentary? What a great job he did. I mean, Heyman was on fire that year. That was like Heyman really at the top of his game. Where Heyman didn't have to be like a super, or try to be a super cool guy that's hip to the groove, man. It just really was like shocking. So Adam Pearce challenges you and you don't even seem scared, which makes Adam Pearce, like, no one would be scared of Adam Pearce. If not even Paul Heyman is scared of Adam Pearce, then who else is going to be scared of him? Which really solidifies the fact of the claim that I'm making that he's got to be the worst authority figure ever. When you can't even make Paul Heyman at least shaking his boots just a little bit. Sami Zayn comes out. He handcuffs himself to the barricade in protest. He's still got the documentary film crew filming him. I wonder if they're actually going to, like, show any of this documentary or what this really means or what this is really adding to his presentation. I mean, he's out there for several matches, but I don't really feel like this is going anywhere. He's protesting against his unfair treatment. And I get like protesting is a big thing in current events, but like, can something like interesting happen during this protest or something? Can they add a little something to jazz it up just slightly? No, it's just him basically holding different signs and yelling inaudibly. Then we've got Asuka and Charlotte defeating the Riott Squad. Billie Kay cost the Riott Squad the match when she jumps up on the apron. The referee is too busy with her and doesn't see Ruby Riott making the pin. Then Charlotte ends up getting the pin. Charlotte returns and, like, this is all we're getting here. like a tag team, and Asuka is the women's champion, and this is like the best that they could do. Like, there's nothing special here. There's nothing that, like, first of all, you've got two women's champions on the same show. You've got Sasha Banks and you've got Asuka. And she's there because she won the tag team title with Charlotte. So I don't get it. Like, what is this tag team really for? Is there a reason like why they're together? Is it going to lead to something? Is it going to lead to a feud? I just don't get how some of these people, like Charlotte now, she's been on the main roster for how many years, and we're like basically still trying to figure out what to do with these people. She yelled at Ric Flair 2 weeks ago. That really hasn't led to anything. Is there any rhyme or reason to anything on this show? Like, honestly, like, if you could just simply ask the question, why are these two girls together? There's no real reason why they have to be together. They just are because they don't know what else to do with them. And this is why, year after year, we always have these like weird moments where they put wrestlers together, they're off doing things, they have to like buy time until they can figure out what to do with them next. Like, I'm sorry, when Charlotte was already proclaimed the women's champion, it's like you can't just then throw her in a random tag team when you made her like one of the most dominant females and you sold her as such, and now all of a sudden it's like back to square one. That's how it always is with all these wrestlers. Back to square one. Except the simple fact that the one who's in this tag team with her, Asuka, is the women's champion. So instead of challenging for that championship, she's tag teaming with her. Does anyone find that odd? Like why is all that she just cool with that? Just being a tag champ? Billy Kay and the Riott Squad are having words backstage. They don't even seem particularly angry with her. They seem more disappointed. Even though they didn't even want her out there in the first place, they somehow were allowing her to come out there for the past couple of weeks. Again, this barely makes any sense. She says that she got them entered into a Royal Rumble, and they said, you know what, Billy, we're better off, just being a two-woman crew here. And, okay, like, so there goes that failed experiment. They're already done with that storyline. Daniel Bryan is out in the ring, talking about entering himself into a Royal Rumble. Cesaro comes out. And Cesaro, like, really has to learn one thing here. If Vince McMahon already made it known, like 7 years ago on Stone Cold's podcast, that the reason why Cesaro never got to the upper echelons of the WWE is because he lacks personality. Well, do you think maybe if he worked on, his emotion a little bit? I mean, just bear with me here for a moment, folks. I know a lot of people like Cesaro, and the guy might be a good athlete. He does the giant swing in the ring. He's capable of picking up the Big Show. And so, the guy's a good athlete, right? So the only problem is you might want to work on the thing that the boss says that is the reason why you're not getting pushed. Might be a good idea. Even if you disagree with him, you work for the man. Don't you think if maybe taking some acting lessons, something? So, first thing I notice when Cesaro's coming out is he turns to Sami Zayn, who's still handcuffed to the barricade. And in a super low voice, like, look, I get the audio is bad and everything, but it was also the way how he's not projecting himself. And that's really the best word. Putting emotion. I think projecting would be better. Have you ever seen Cesaro yell or like get mad or really show any, back to that word again, emotion at all? No, I can't really recall a time when he did. I think like he's might have been sarcastic at times, like with Sheamus when they were the bar, but like I said, that's really all I could really think of off the top of my head. So he says to Sammy, he's like, oh, no one wants to hear from you anyway. You know, he goes back to the fact that he could speak 5 different languages, which is something from 2014 that hasn't been mentioned since. So pretty much almost everyone forgot about that already. Then he gets in the ring with Daniel Bryan, and they're having this face-to-face, and it's almost like Cesaro is uninterested. Daniel Bryan takes off his jacket, and then it's like Cesaro says, well, you're not dressed for the occasion. Oh, well, he's not dressed for the occasion. Well, then Daniel Bryan gets out of the ring, and Dolph Ziggler comes out to make the challenge. And then he says that Cesaro is the only one that can actually challenge Dolph Ziggler. Like, I get it. Like, that's supposed to put him over. That Dolph Ziggler, you know, the veteran, views Cesaro as a challenge. Never mind the fact that everybody beats Dolph Ziggler. So it's not really a ringing endorsement. So we had this match and Cesaro takes him out in a matter of minutes, and I don't get it. Guys, there's no way this is going to go anywhere with Cesaro. There's no way that this is going to lead to anything. The ship has sailed on Cesaro a long time ago. I mean, the ship sailed 5 years ago on this guy. I mean, we'll be generous. 4 years ago. 3 maybe? I mean, how many years has he been there? And all of a sudden they just decided, well, you know what? Maybe we should give Cesaro another chance. What is behind this? And I'm hearing it's because Daniel Bryan is on the writing staff. And I don't know how much of Daniel Bryan's stuff, material, content is getting through. Because if this is the best that they've got to offer, then he's not a very good writer. Because what is happening here? Why is Cesaro getting pushed out of the clear blue sky? Cesaro also looked kind of cowardly here in the same breath. Did Daniel Bryan write that? Oh, well, you're not dressed properly. Oh, excuse me. Well, I can't fight you because you're in a dress shirt. Huh? Like, this is what Daniel Bryan came back to do? This is what he's risking his health, risking his neck, risking paralysis because he wants to come back and, you know, have a feud with Cesaro. I mean, I know he's been back for a few years, but what has this guy done since he's come back that's significant? You know, he's won a world title, but he lost it several months later, and they completely killed the character that he was doing that was getting over. Remember the environmental SJW character? What happened to that? That was a great character. Bryan was onto something. And I know it wasn't just him. And people are saying that Edge was doing a bad job on creative. Well, he couldn't be doing any better of a job than Daniel Bryan is doing. Because if this is his material, like I said, it sucks. It's not good. It's horrible. And I'm a Daniel Bryan fan. But I gotta call a spade as I always do. If something sucks, by golly, I'm gonna say it sucks because it really does. Sasha Banks defeats Reginald. This was a hideous looking match. Hideous looking in every way, shape, or form. There was 2 competitors in there that just didn't know what the other one wanted to do. There's like 2 arm drags in there where like Reginald is being arm dragged, but like, you know, Sasha can't even pull him over, so it looks really weak. All of this just looked really, really bad. And he's tapping out to Sasha, which no one is buying unless you're a complete mark. We move on to Roman Reigns and Heyman backstage. So Roman says that, well, you know, Heyman, maybe you should, you know, fight your own battles, you know, and he's basically not going to interfere. Which Heyman manages now to strike up some emotion within him and show that he's scared. Well, that would have been a little bit more effective if he did that when he was under a threat from Pearce. Not like an hour later backstage. I thought this was kind of a delayed reaction. And I guess, like I said, it's supposed to be like, okay, well, maybe Roman, he thought that Roman was going to help him out. And that's why he didn't seem scared. But come on already. We're making excuses for this guy. I'm not making any excuses from Heyman. Heyman really is, like I said, he's a shell of his former self. He used to be really good on the mic, but now he's not. Okay? He just isn't. Big E and Apollo Crews are having a match. Sami Zayn uncuffs himself. Then he runs in the ring for interference, ruining the match. Okay. I'm really getting sick of seeing Big E and Apollo Crews wrestling each other. And didn't Apollo Crews win the United States Championship? And they're saying that he can't get to the next level in his career. Well, okay, winning the other secondary belt will make him, and now skyrocket him to another part of his career. This is another guy where we have to be honest and say he's not going anywhere. He's never going to go anywhere. Look, not everyone can be a world champion. Not everyone can get to the upper echelons of WWE. It's another failed experiment. And they don't know when to quit. At least back in the day, when they weren't interested in the guy, they used to just give up on him altogether. Not these stop, start again, stop, and then start once more a few years later down the line. How long has this guy been on the roster? And you're still trying with him. You shouldn't have to try to get someone over. Just do it. I mean, there isn't even a crowd here, so you can't even accurately gauge. But the thing is, there's ratings, which are not good. So chances are what you're doing here shouldn't continue. Because if the ratings are not raising, then why are we still focusing on characters like Apollo Crews? Why are we still focusing on people like Cesaro? Guys, good athletes or not, they're not going to make this company a dime. So why are we still focusing on them? Get rid of them. And I mean, you don't have to fire them, but stop putting the focus on these guys and trying to promise the crowd, promise the audience in this case, that these guys are going places. I mean, it really insults the audience intelligence because we've been sitting here watching these guys for years and nothing happens with them. You guys control the creative. If you want something to happen with them, you can do it. But you decide not to. This just keeps going around in circles. Now, Kevin Owens is cutting a promo in his car. Well, this looks really good on a, on a show where Fox has paid them $1 billion to have SmackDown on Fox. And you have guys cutting promos in their cars like he's a YouTuber. I've cut videos in my car. And so Kevin Owens shouldn't be doing that, working for a $1 billion company. Does anyone see anything wrong with this? And then backstage we have these Street Profits with Sonya Deville. And I still just can't get over the fact that they think that Sonya Deville would make a good authority figure, like an assistant. How does someone, like I said a few weeks ago, how do you go from getting fired to getting promoted? And her facial expressions are totally out there here. She's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on there? That's not good. And someone tell Montez Ford that repeating yourself constantly, that's not a good way of trying to, put emphasis on what you're trying to say. Because these guys are there and they're just, it's annoying as hell. It's not cool. It's not funny. And she tells them to keep doing your funny skits until Montez's leg heals. Funny skits, if that's what you want to call them. And I think it's hilarious that they're actually referring to them on the show as skits. Like, does anyone find that a little bit unusual? Like skits? Like, that's like kind of like a term that they would use like when they're actually booking the show and actually writing the show. But here we are like, oh yeah, just keep doing your skits. I just cannot believe that this like show, like this isn't an acceptable show, that this is what they're giving to Fox. Where is Fox to just fucking say already, guys, this show sucks. Either make your next show good or you guys are out, or our contract is terminated. Because I guarantee you, like, they could get any other show and it would do better ratings than this. I mean, this is like pitiful already. The whole show is just a total onslaught of just total retardation. I mean, it's one horrible thing after another on this show. And everything is so obvious that it doesn't work. Like, there should be no question in their mind. Like, you put this skit there, exactly what it's called, but they shouldn't be calling it that on the show. It's a skit. Keep doing your skits, guys. Those funny skits, mind you. Which, you know, if you would use that adjective to describe what the Street Profits do on TV, I would say that's not only inaccurate, that's probably the dumbest way of describing it. Because I would say they're annoying, they're stupid, they're dumb, they're unentertaining, they're a waste of time. That's what those kinds of skits are like. Then we have the Ultimate Athlete Obstacle Course with Bayley and Bianca Belair. So, like, Bayley, like, cheats. And, I don't know how she's getting away with that, like, mind you. She's, like, running around the things. And this is, like, the stuff that they used to do during NXT. Now, I know they did it with Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley, but these things are always, like, they've never been over, obstacle courses. There's no reason why anyone would want to sit there and watch this. But they're doing it anyway. Like, that the heel is going to actually, like, stand there and watch the babyface go through all these obstacles. And the babyface, Bianca Belair, would agree to do it. And how does it look that you've got you've got Bayley carrying Chad Gable on her shoulders? Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. How emasculating can it possibly get? This grown man is being carried on Bayley's shoulders. And it was very impressive that when Bianca Belair's turn came up, that she was able to carry Otis on her shoulders. It was impressive. But I get it. It's 2021, but this is still emasculating to the umpteenth degree. To have Otis, this big monstrous guy, huge, be carried over the shoulders by a woman. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are impressed by the feat of strength. And so was I. But you don't see how this is perceived as kind of like, ugh. Because that's how I'm looking at it. It was a, ugh, definitely. Definitely not a good thing, I would say. Definitely not something where I look at it and I'm like, oh, wow, this was great. I'm happy to see this. No, I wasn't. Because it really is to have a woman pick up a man over his shoulders. You know, which is something you would normally see a man do to a woman. It's kind of really emasculating, to say the very least. And this is what Otis is doing after being Mr. Money in the Bank. This is what the company decides to do with him. They take the briefcase off of him, give it to The Miz, and then just relegate him to be Chad Gable's lackey, of all people. Then Bayley beats her down after this. making Bianca Belair look like a total idiot. Then we have Baron Corbin defeating Dominik. Okay, like, guys, again, I'm going to just honestly say this. Does anyone honestly see Dominik going anywhere in WWE or in the wrestling world? Because I'll tell you what I see. I see a total David Flair here. I'm just being quite honest with you guys. A guy that, you know, obviously wants to live up to the legacy of his father. But I'm just looking at Dominik. I'm thinking of the goofy outfits that he wears week to week. And there's just nothing there. I'm looking at Dominik and I just don't see anything. Sorry to say, I just don't. I see this guy like they're going to try with him and put him out there. And they haven't even been consistent with him. You know, he had a match like months ago. Now they're bringing him back once again. And, like, honestly, does anyone really care? People will pretend and say, oh, well, yeah, he's impressive. Yeah, I'll admit that he is. But he's never going to live up to the mantle of his father. Now, I'm not saying they can't try, but I am sick and tired of sitting here after watching wrestling for this long in my life at 33 years old. I'm not going to actually sit here and make a video where I say, oh, guys, we got to remain positive and hopeful for the future. Because I've been sitting here watching a product for over a decade that completely sucks. So I'm not going to sit here and have false hope. Because basically everything I have said in my videos over the years has pretty much come true. I have said time and time again with so many different wrestlers, so many different pushes, so many different title reigns, that this was not going to go anywhere. With so many different things. I said it with The Fiend. I said it with countless others. And sure enough, we sit here with you watching the video, me making the video, and those points that I made are solidified in truth. You can go back on the network and you can see where everything went wrong. So I will not sit here and say Dominik is a promising athlete. Because there's no promise there. Is he talented? I guess. But is he ever going to get anywhere close to his father? Look, the days of a Randy Orton, the days of where the son might even surpass the father, then I would actually say yes, that Randy Orton definitely has surpassed his father as far as notoriety and popularity. I would definitely say so. And Bob Orton is a legend. But those days are numbered. The days of The Rock, those days, we're not going to see those days anymore. Those days are gone. It seems to me like we're going to get a lot of Ted DiBiase Jr.'s is what we're going to get. A lot of David Flairs. Guys that, like, where they put them out there and they have the support behind them, but it's the guy. There's just nothing there. And that's what I feel. I'm being honest. Then in the main event, we get our supposed Adam Pearce Heyman match, but Reigns grabs a mic and says the card is subject to change, and it's Roman Reigns versus Adam Pearce, the match we were supposed to get at the Royal Rumble. So Reigns is beating down on Adam Pearce, and somebody comes out in the hoodie. Oh, who could it be? Well, it's Fat Boy Kevin Owens, of course. So he got done doing it, whatever it was he was doing in his car, and he finally decided to show himself. Like, why did they even bother with the hoodie over the head? We all know it's Kevin Owens. So he comes in and he beats up on Roman Reigns, and there was this like weird like Superman punch counter with the stunner. It just looks so weird to me. I don't know. Anyway, so it's a bust. They did the bait and the switch at the end. Imagine if they actually did Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman, how entertaining that could have been. That actually might have been something worth watching. But of course, they just went with this lame ass shit. So anyway, the side of my face is still extremely swollen. I wasn't even sure I was going to do this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the show, but, you know, I just had to do something to kind of get my mind off the pain and all that. The pain of watching the show and the pain from the wisdom tooth being removed. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.